you guys, it's Megan, and today should be a snow day, but had to go to work. Adulting sucks so much sometimes, like, just is beyond me, but I can't take it anymore. I have to talk to you guys about this. Like, I have been nonstop thinking about the Aziz Ansari whole story since it came out on Sunday. Me and Michael saw or heard about it, and like my heart is like racing because I feel so many things about this scenario. And if you guys haven't read what happened, basically an anonymous woman came forward to this, I don't know if it's a blog or a news outlet, babe.net. I never heard of it before, but she shared a story that her and Aziz went on a date and hooked up earlier this year, last year, and that she feels like it was the worst experience of her life, the worst night of her life, and that Aziz basically sexually took advantage of her, and I believe she even said sexually assaulted her. And me and Michael read the article like the second that we heard about it and really tried to process this because we love Aziz. I think this is the first time in this whole just slew of sexual assault and all these awful things coming to surface with brave women sharing their stories of what has happened behind closed doors in especially the entertainment industry. But I think that it's given a lot of strength to women in all walks of life, all industries, all fields, all levels of work, that you should speak up if something happened like this to you. So this was the first time where I really respect the person that is being accused of this. Aziz Ansari is one of my favorite people. Like, I don't know him obviously, but I love his show. You guys know that. So it was like, not to be dramatic, but it was like kind of devastating to hear that this story came out about him. So me and Michael read the story and we're trying to process it. It's so hard to process things like this because there's so many levels to what is going on. And like I talked to you guys about last month, the story or essay Cat Person from the New Yorker, that essay and this story are so similar to me. And I was so overcome with emotion to talk to you guys about Cat Person, and now I feel really overcome with emotion and thoughts and wanting to keep this discussion going because I think that this is such a big issue. And I said to Michael, because we've been talking about it for days now, like, this is one of those things that feels like it's such a big issue that it's impossible to even tackle because it's so deeply seated into our society, and it goes far beyond just these like few examples that have been shared. And oh god, oh my god, I feel so many things. So you can have your opinion on if this was sexual assault or not. I personally do not believe that this was sexual assault, and that is not to say victim shaming or blaming, because I believe both parties have lots of fault in this situation. Just like Cat Person, both people could have done things differently to not lead to the outcome that happened. And what's so striking about both of the real life story with Aziz and this anonymous woman, Grace is what she's going by, and Cat Person, is that it's one of those sexual situations that's so familiar to pretty much every woman. Like, maybe not in exact detail, but just the idea and what happens when you go to hook up with someone, or you go to their apartment after their first date, or whatever the case is. You're in a sexual situation with someone and they are trying to coax you or encourage you to do something that you don't want to do. And there is so much psychology going on in these moments. Like, there's the desire to be wanted, there's the desire to not disappoint the person that you're with, and this is not exclusive to straight relationships. This is gay, straight, bi, anything that you may be part of. There are so many complex things going on when it comes to sex or anything that is sexual. So all of these things are going on in your mind, subconsciously or consciously, and in the midst of all of those thoughts, there's like physical stuff going on. And it's so hard because this does seem so common, and I myself, and I think pretty much any person, at least the women that I know that have been in sexual situations, have done things that we probably would not have done if the man that we were with was not encouraging it by either moving their hand somewhere or like asking you to, or not really. It feels like you don't have a choice, but you do. And I'm not saying that this is what happens in violent or dangerous situations. That's not what I'm talking about. These are situations where you do choose to be with this person, but you might not choose to want to do all those things. Like, you don't go into it deciding or knowing that you will do X, Y, or Z. And that's where it gets complicated in hookup situations, because you don't really know that person, they don't really know you. And the big takeaway for me of Cat Person and of the Aziz Ansari story is communication. And I have talked to you guys about communication, but I can't stress this enough, especially with, I consider hookups to be with a stranger. Like, you might have gone on a date with them, you might have met them at a party, they're a stranger. Whether you met them through friends or online or whatever, you don't really know them and they don't really know you. And you need to protect yourself first. You need to be your own advocate, and you can't trust that they have your best intentions at heart, because they're probably just horny AF or whatever it is. You need to look out for yourself, especially as women, and I don't want to say this is exclusively women, because I'm sure it just doesn't have gender barriers to this. You need to be your own advocate and stand up for yourself if you feel uncomfortable. And it's so hard with the Aziz story, because Grace believes that she was sending nonverbal cues to him. And nonverbal cues, I really don't think work with strangers or in hookup situations, or even in a new relationship, because you're so like not used to the other person. You might be used to someone else's cues, nonverbal communication, but you don't know this new person and they don't know you. And when Michael and I were first starting to be together, I told him flat out, I can't have sex with you. I said that the very first night, and he listened, thank God. But I knew I had this, I didn't just go out and say it, but I knew that I had to say that to protect myself, because I knew I did not want to have sex with him. And it's not because of him, it's not because of anything, but I just knew I wasn't ready for that, and I did not want that. And I had to verbally say that. I couldn't just assume that he knew that. You can't assume that someone knows that. And the message that I'm trying to get across with this story, and I'm gonna keep going on, is that you have to vocalize what you desire or what you what your boundaries are. You have to say what your boundaries are. You can't rely on nonverbal cues because there's so much of a chance that that will be missed or that will be misinterpreted. And if you just say exactly what you mean or what your boundaries are, they might not want you anymore. And that's on them. Fuck that guy or that girl. They don't deserve you and you need to leave. And that was the risk that I felt like I was taking the first time I was with Michael when I told him I can't have sex with you. There was definitely conflict in my mind that was like, he might just want sex. I don't know this guy very well. Like, I know him through friends, but I don't really know him. And if he didn't like me after I said that, I didn't like him either. Like, you can't make decisions like that based on what you think the other person wants. And that's really, really complicated because I believe that women are taught to be very agreeable, pleasing to other people, even if it makes you feel dead inside. And that's so fucked up. Like, that is so fucked up. And there's so many things that are wrong with the way that society is and the way that genders are socialized differently. And we don't have to be agreeable. We don't have to just do things to not upset someone. And what was really empowering about saying, I can't have sex with you, was that I said what I meant and he listened. He didn't force himself on me. We only did what I was comfortable with doing. And I am so fortunate that Michael always would ask, is this okay? Is this okay? Like, when we got to doing different things. Is this okay? Is this okay? He would ask me before he would try to do anything. And I could say yes or no, and it didn't change his opinion on me. And I know not everyone has a partner or someone that they're being sexual with that will do that. I have never experienced that. And I don't know anyone else that has experienced the amount of care of my wishes that Michael has always shown me from the very first time all the way till today. And I really want to put pressure on both genders to ask and not assume. Women should not assume that men just want to have sex all the time or that they're down for anything. We should ask and not assume because every single person is different. Just because one partner you've had sex with or done sexual things with likes one thing doesn't mean the next person that you're with will. And that goes both ways. And also, I want both genders to feel like they can vocalize and stand up for their boundaries and to express their boundaries in a clear and vocal way. Like, you might move your hand away if you're not comfortable with something, and that should be a good nonverbal cue. Like, if you move someone's hand away, you would think they would know, but sometimes they don't, and so you need to say, I'm not comfortable with you touching me that way or kissing me that way or doing that to me. And it's so hard, especially if you're younger and you maybe don't have experience or you don't have like a lot of people like talking to you about this, or it's not, I don't know. Consent is so, to me, not very talked about. It's more like just don't have sex, but that's not helpful because people are gonna have sex and you need to protect yourself as much as possible. Again, not discussing violent or dangerous or terrible situations that I hope to God none of us experience, but in like consensual relationships or sexual experiences, you need to speak up if you feel uncomfortable. And it's just so tough for me to just put this into words. I really have tried to think about this enough that when I'm talking to you that it makes sense and that what I'm actually trying to say gets across. And I hope that it is. I want you guys to take away that you need to stand up for yourself if you feel uncomfortable. And if you don't feel like doing something, it's not that you, even if you're in a relationship, if you don't feel like doing something, even if you've done it before, you need to stand up for yourself and say, I don't want to do that tonight. And it might not be like anything against the person that you're with, but it's just that you don't want to do it, and that's fine. That should be respected. And speaking up for yourself, I always think is the best policy, because no one else will speak up for you. You have to express your desires, your limits, your boundaries. And if you want to have sex, enjoy it. Both people should enjoy it. And I really hope that we can get to the point where both genders respect the other person's wishes and ask, is this okay, or do you want to do this? And not just assume that it is wanted, or because even if you do something to someone else, they might not want that. You know what I mean? Like, they might not want you to do that. And then, like we talked about in Cat Person, do you owe someone something after you have sex, or after you have a date with them, or after you kiss them? And does kissing someone, making out with someone, touching someone, does that mean that you have to have sex with them? No, it shouldn't. And unfortunately, I feel like it does seem to mean that. In a lot of cases, you feel like you have to have sex with someone, and you shouldn't have to. You should be able to just do one thing and not have it mean you will do literally all the things. So, yeah, I think this is such a bigger issue than just sex. I think that it is the way that women are taught to be, just passive, and I think that only putting blame on one gender is not okay. Like, either way, it's not okay, because it's a two-way street. And as a person, man or female, you need to take matters into your own hands. And you can't just assume that someone else will understand what you want if you don't communicate it to them. And that's especially the case with hookups or strangers or first dates or second dates or third dates. You need to express clearly in words what you need, and that's something I've definitely struggled with in the past and in the present, especially with just everyday stuff. Like, I sometimes need a hug, or I need someone to just listen to me. But if I don't express that, I probably won't get that, because they won't just know that I need that. I need to tell them. And it's up to the other person whether they take what you say in a positive way and, like, don't force you to do anything, or if they do try to force you, like I said, fuck that person. Not actually, but like, see ya. Never talking to you again. You're an asshole. And yeah, it's so complicated. And I feel like it doesn't need to be, but it is, because it's so woven into the way society is that it's really, really tough. And I hope that this may have helped, or just helped spark something in you to really think about. I have been thinking about this and really feeling so much, and I don't know what the answer is other than to vocalize your boundaries and your thoughts, and to also ask and not assume. I don't care if you're a woman or a man or whatever. You can't assume that the other person is okay with whatever you want. Like, you should always put the other person's feelings into consideration, not just your own, and that's like in any situation, not just with sex. So I'm exhausted thinking about this again, and I don't know. If you guys have opinions, please let me know. I think everyone has an opinion on this, and I think that it's something that people are really conflicting about, and that it's leading to a lot of struggle between people. And I just hope that something changes and that we can discuss this in a civil way where it's not all the blame on one person and none of the blame on the other. And that's for every situation. It's always a two-way street. And yeah. So if you guys have thoughts on this, which I'm sure you do, let me know in the comments or message me if you don't feel comfortable talking about it in the comments publicly. But I appreciate you guys listening, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.